Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday to you. I hope you had an absolutely exceptional weekend. I definitely did. Friday night, I went out and had an amazing girls' night. It was crazy, but so much fun. And then the whole weekend was spent just hanging out with the kiddos and doing stuff with them and just, doing mom life stuff. It's very, very hard for me to vlog on the weekends because my kids are my kids, So I feel like I'm on a pretty good path with uploading regularly during the week, but the weekends get a little bit sketchy. Today, I want to talk about the differences between the different keto realms. So that means that we're going to discuss the differences between strict keto, lazy keto, and dirty keto. So if you've ever wondered what the difference is between these three trifectas that you will hear about really frequently in the keto world, I'm here to shed a little bit of light on them and help you understand a little bit better what kind of keto you are doing and what kind of keto is going to work best for your specific situation. This is a question that I get all the time, and I hope that I am able to enlighten you a little bit on what kind of keto is best for you. Let's kind of define the three different branches of keto that we are going to talk about today. First, I want to talk about strict keto. This is strict by the book keto. What that usually means is that someone who is strict keto is tracking all of their food and tracking all of their macros. They often tend to only eat 20 net carbs a day. A lot of people on strict keto don't even track net carbs, they track total carbs. Someone who's doing strict keto is going to be someone that probably has some sort of medical condition or autoimmune disease that they are trying to combat. The reason for this is that strict keto is also very strict on things like ingredients. So there are very many ingredients that someone on strict keto is going to want to avoid. Things like soybean oil, soy in all forms, most artificial sweeteners. Strict is basically as strict as it gets, and that's at least my take on it. Someone who eats a carnivore diet would also be considered strict keto. Now, I will tell you, the reason that I myself do not follow a strict keto diet is that I am super flexible on ingredients. If you are someone that is doing keto only for weight loss, meaning you don't have any medical conditions and your only main goal and objective to do keto is for weight loss, you can be a little bit more flexible with your ingredients without too much drama. So that's typically the way that I like to talk about it. If you're someone who is strict keto, you are doing everything by the book in every way imaginable. So that means that you are not consuming any processed food or very little processed food. You are looking at all of your ingredients. You are paying extra close attention to your macros. You track absolutely everything that goes into your body. Now, this way of eating, the strict keto, I have a very hard time sticking to personally. When I first started eating keto, I was much more strict than I am now. I'm in a maintenance mode, so I would definitely consider myself to be more on the lazy keto / dirty keto train. Lazy keto and dirty keto, I'm going to talk about together because that's the easiest way for me to explain it. Now, someone that says that they are lazy keto, what that typically means is that they still only consume 20 net carbs a day. They also are probably not tracking super rigidly, okay? A lot of people that do lazy keto do track, but they're not as rigid as someone who is doing strict keto. Lazy keto is also someone who is going to be a lot less rigid about ingredients. So that means that they may consume ingredients that are considered not keto. Things like soy, soybean oil, artificial sweeteners like Splenda and aspartame. They are truly just tracking net carbs. So they are probably not looking at as many ingredients as someone who is strict keto. They are definitely going to be someone who will eat a lot of different sugar-free sweets and candies, keto baked goods, things like almond flour, and probably more things than what someone on strict keto is going to be eating. Now, you're still going to lose weight. Some people are very affected by different artificial artificial sweeteners and different processed foods, someone who is lazy keto has probably figured out what does and does not work for them. To me, lazy keto basically means that you are probably not tracking. You are paying attention to your carb count, mostly in your mind, and trying to do the best that you can to stick with keto-friendly products and ingredients, but you're not going to be quite as cutthroat as someone who is doing strict keto. Now, dirty keto is the easiest of the lot. Dirty keto basically means that the only thing that you are paying attention to is the net carb count. That means that you are sticking around your 20 net carbs a day, but you will ingest literally anything that falls into your carb count. So that means you are not paying attention to any ingredients whatsoever. You're consuming things like soy, soybean oil, all artificial sweeteners. Basically what that means is that if you can get your net carb count to right around that 20 marker, you're gonna eat it. Okay, so again, strict keto is going to be someone who is absolutely doing everything by the book. They are tracking, they are paying attention to every single ingredient that goes into their body. They are eating organic and grass-fed meat and vegetables. They are being very, very careful not to ingest anything that is processed. So that's your strict keto. Your lazy keto, going to be a lot more flexible about things like grass-fed meat and organic vegetables. You try to fit them in where you can, but you're not exclusively eating grass-fed and organic fruits and vegetables. You're also probably eating things that are processed, okay? So that means a lot of the keto sweets and treats that come pre-packaged, if the net carb count is right, that will fit into a lazy keto diet. If you are doing dirty keto, you basically eat everything that fits into your 20 net carb count, okay? So someone who is lazy keto may not eat the Atkins bars and desserts. Someone who is dirty keto would probably eat those. I hope this isn't super confusing. It's a question that I get so often, and there are many different opinions and takes on what constitutes strict keto, lazy keto, and dirty keto. I've been doing this for 2 years. I've spent a lot of time discussing this with colleagues and other people in the keto space, and I think that sometimes it comes off a little bit harder than it needs to be. I'm trying to think of examples. Okay, here's a good one. Low carb tortillas. Someone who is eating strict keto isn't going to consume any type of grain or starch whatsoever. Someone who is lazy keto or dirty keto would happily eat the low carb tortillas as long as the net carb count fits into their day of eating. It's really that simple. I define myself as lazy keto because that's what has worked best for me over time. There's definitely been times during my journey where I have been more strict keto and times where I've been more dirty keto. It just kind of depends on what I am going through. I will tell you, the reason that I love lazy keto is because I do not like to track. If you are not new here, you know that about me. Tracking really overwhelms me and gets me to be obsessed with what I'm putting into my body. And from a mental health standpoint, that does not work well for me. It gives me a lot of anxiety and also can cause me to kind of steer off course. I also love things like low carb tortillas and like fat snacks, cookies, and things that wouldn't work for me on strict keto. So that's why I personally consider myself to be lazy keto. Now, I will tell you, if you are doing keto for a health or medical reason, cancer, autoimmune disease, MS, you will definitely want to start off as lazy keto until you start to get to know your way around this whole realm. And then I highly recommend doing a more strict keto. The reason for this is keto is an anti-inflammatory diet. That's why the majority of people that have physicians that recommend this to them for a health concern, they're trying to reduce inflammation in the body. Now, for someone like me, there are certain foods and products that may cause inflammation for someone else, but they don't for me. Now, this varies person to person. So that means that I may be able to consume a certain artificial sweetener, have absolutely no adverse reactions with my weight loss or with any type of bloating. Someone else might be very very sensitive to that exact same artificial sweetener, and it could cause them to stall in their weight loss and also cause inflammation in the body. That's why there is no one set way that this works for everyone. You have to do a lot of trial and error in the beginning to figure out what works best for you and what is the most sustainable. I plan to eat this way for the rest of my life. So that means that I have over time included some things in my diet that I didn't necessarily eat at the very beginning. I will say that I eat more keto treats now than I did in the very beginning. And the reason for that is because I was so hell-bent on having extreme weight loss. I wanted to lose weight as fast as humanly possible. And for me, the easiest way to do that was to eat cleaner and just pay attention to my carb count and ingredients. Now, over time, I've been able to introduce a lot of these things back into my diet that I missed, like the low carb tortillas, for example. In the very beginning, I only ate them about once a week or once every couple of weeks. Now I can have a few a week and it doesn't affect my weight and it doesn't affect my body. I don't have any adverse reactions, but this is definitely something that is going to be trial and error. So if you are new to keto and you are just getting started, try not to let all of the information overwhelm you about what kind of keto you are. That's going to become very, very you specific over time. And as you introduce and eliminate things from your diet, you're gonna start to figure out what makes you feel the best and what works best for you. You might work best on strict keto. Dirty keto might be the way for you. It's just going to be very you specific. So it's a very hard question to answer as to why someone should do one keto versus the other. Now, I will tell you, if I was a very, very disciplined human being, I would love to eat strict keto and never miss any of those other foods, like the low carb tortillas and the artificial sweeteners. But it just isn't something that is sustainable for me for the rest of my life to think that I am never going to have artificial sweeteners or low carb tortillas or like keto cheats. It's very, very subjective to what works best for you. So trial and error is going to be your best friend as you start to navigate the keto universe. I can't really recommend one over the other because it just depends on why you are doing keto. If you are solely doing keto for weight loss and you have absolutely no medical concerns whatsoever, I would probably start with the lazy keto just because it's super hard to eliminate absolutely everything that's comforting from your diet in the beginning. But if you're someone who is going to be triggered by things like artificial sweeteners and a lot of these like fake products, you might want to start with strict keto and get it out of your system completely and then slowly start adding things back in. I think the majority of people that eat ketogenically probably have some days where they're strict keto, some days where they're lazy, some days where they're dirty. I definitely fall into that category myself. When I have an off-plan day, typically I am dirty keto, which means I will eat anything that is low carb. It's not always how I feel the best, but there are some days where I just have to let my hair down and not feel super controlled by my food decisions. I think a lot of us are like that. There's a lot of emotions that are embedded with choosing what we are going to eat on a daily basis. And when you dive in head first and you see an entire list of things that you no longer eat, it's very easy to crave a substitute for those things. And that's where the lazy keto starts to creep in. It's not to say that it's a bad thing. I lost over 100 pounds in a year's time eating lazy keto. That's what works for me. And it might work for you too. But if you find yourself hitting a stall, there might be some of these lazy keto or dirty keto products or ingredients that you're gonna have to start to back away from to figure out what is going to make you feel your absolute best. I hope this answered some of your questions about what kind of keto you are doing. If you have additional questions, please leave them in the comments down below. This is a topic that I could talk in circles about, as I'm sure many of you could as well. And let me know, what is your opinion of lazy keto versus dirty keto versus strict keto? And what kind of keto are you? If you are new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing. We have a really good time, and we have some of the best subscribers on the planet. You heard it here first. And if you're not in our Facebook group, Ketoginja Kitchen, I hope you'll come join. We have a lot of fun there too. I hope everyone has an amazing Monday, and I hope that you have an incredible week. I will see you guys very, very soon.